And then when you have your functional stack, then you say, okay, Quad Code or Gemini CLI or whatever tool you're using, now build it. And what we're doing with Casso is to allow lay people, just like a regular non-programmer can use vibe coding.
Because all these back office tools are being built, and we were talking about another call about agentic mode, where you have all these agents, and they're building stuff, they're continuously automating. But that generates a lot of data. You're generating a lot more data than before. There is a lot more things that need to be reviewed, and there has to be a smart compliance and review systems. SOC 2 compliance is not relevant anymore because.
So it's a great tip. You basically have a prompt MD file that you tell Quad Code every single time that I put something in, save it. Save it in my prompt file. So now you have a good history that you can easily access. You can see exactly what changes you made verbally and
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of What About AI Agents. Today with us, we have Yaakov Sash. Hi, Yaakov. How are you?
how are you?
Doing
I'm
well,
good.
doing well. He's the founder and CEO of Caso.ai, which basically turns your ideas into AI-ready specifications, like a perfect blueprints for your code, sort of like a way to upgrade your vibe coding to the next level. He was previously a founder of a company called Novosphere. He was a director at Credit Suisse. He comes with a vast amount of fintech experience. So really interested to hear about what you've built, Yakov, and what you're doing, and really interested to hear about your experiences and what you're building in this space.
Great. Well, thank you so much for the introduction. I'll start by saying that we started off like many of you. We're all new to AI, right? This is new to everyone. No one has, unless you've been building foundational models, which is a different league. But anyone on the app dev side or in the business side, right? This is all new to us, and we're all learning. And what's amazing is that how fast it's been growing, and the power of to use AI specifically with coding has gone up at least 10 to probably even 20x in the past year. So we're talking about a massive amount of growth. And I know there's a lot of terms people throw out, you know, um, AI agents. It's one of those terms that's been quickly been overloaded. But I think it's fair to say that the new models for the AI coding are truly agents because you tell them what you want to build, you go away, you come back, and they build it, right? So they are really an agent, right? You're not getting, it's not a chat interface. You're actually getting results. It may take 5 minutes, it may take 30 minutes, but at the end of results, you get a deliverable. They deliver a product for you, and then we'll talk about some more. Is that how good is it? And we can definitely get into that. I'm sorry. I think you're on mute.
There you go. Yeah, I think
Okay.
this will be interesting to many people, especially regarding how effective are those agents. Because many of us have been vibe coding for a long time, and many of our listeners have been vibe coding for a long time, and they know how like you can get it to create a prototype really well, and it will make a prototype of something that somewhat performs as you expected. But then tuning that prototype and actually getting it to do what you want and fixing those little things, that's what takes most of the time. 20% of the things take 80% of the time to fix. So how is this different?
Yeah. So let me speak about that. So what we're building with Casto is that, and I realized it because I'm using AI to build out. I was using it on my gaming. So I was doing a gaming startup before, and we're using it to build out our gaming servers, like the back end, and then other things which it's very good at. And what we realize is that so the AI can literally code anything at this point. You give it whatever you tell it, it will build. The problem is that the AI tools were not designed for patient people. They were designed for impatient people that want to see results right away. You start talking, whether you're talking to the AI or typing, whatever your preferred method is. I actually prefer talking because you can get so much expressed. But you start talking and tell AI, I want to build a new app that will, I can take a picture and it'll tell me the amount of calories it is. Okay, that's a fun app. It's been done, but you want to build your own. So as soon as you express that sentence, right, so the AI is already building it, right? You didn't even finish your sentence. It's already off to the races. It's running. It's building. And that's great for a prototype because it's great to see the results right away. It's terrible for a production app because there's so many edge cases and scenarios and situations that you have to think about when you're building a real app. When when developers build out an app, there's a lot of tools that they're using behind the scenes. There's this concept of a user story. There are validations like unit testing, functional testing, load testing. All these things are real things and real disciplines. And the AI coding, in theory, should do that, but they're not there yet. Now, eventually, maybe they will be there, right? But no matter what, there's always going to be a point where the complexity of the app is more than the AI will offer to build on its own, because you're dealing about a context space. So yes, the AI can do whatever you want, and it can even make suggestions, but it can't do both at the same time. It's not good at coding and offering suggestions. It needs to be two separate phases. So the right way to do it, if using something like Quad Code, is to basically use Quad Code to write your functional specs as a first step. And you write out your specifications, you do your brainstorming, you figure out all the edge cases, the scenarios. Now, do you need to be technical for this? Yes. So this is where people that are doing vibe coding will feel, this is not for me. But the reality is, even if you're vibe coding, you should recognize that there's a discipline here. And the fact that you're not doing it is putting you behind. So that's someone else who is doing it. So it may pay for you to learn. You don't have to learn how to program, but you should understand the concept of a good architecture of what a technology app is. Is it web-based? Is it mobile app? There are differences. There's security, right? There's all these different concepts. And ChatGPT can teach you these things. So it's not like you have to become an expert, but you need to have an awareness. And then when you have your functional stack, then you say, okay, Quad Code or Gemini Clee or whatever tool you're using, now build it. And what we're doing with Casso is to allow lay people, just like a regular non-programmer can use vibe coding to build an app, you will be able to use Casso to build an app as well. But we will give you all that extra stuff that you're not getting with the Quad Code and with the other agentic coders.
So it will basically help non-technical people organize themselves in a better way by writing specifications, by specifying edge cases. So, and you mentioned something in regard to just letting it run, and it's agentic in a way. So it just works, and you go, you grab your copy, you come back, and it finished something, and it's ready for you to test. So how does that?
So sometimes it works wonderful, and you come back, you're like, wow. And it's very good with dashboards. It loves making dashboards. You tell it, make me a dashboard, it just goes off, it just makes bars and graphs and charts. It's great at that. But you need to have a good data schema. If you don't have a good data schema, it's not going to build you a good dashboard. At some point you realize if you don't have a good foundation, if you didn't design it well from a business requirement perspective, you have to know what you want. You have to understand, what you're building, why you're building it, who's the customer, all these things. And this is not just for, startups. This is for companies that have internal systems that are struggling because it has become so expensive to build out technology. If you have a business and you're running it, and you have teams that are sharing information on these systems, and these systems, what usually happens is that they're built once, and then it's so expensive to build it, and people just make up their own workaround, and they just struggle with the system doesn't work for the business anymore. The business may have moved down and changed their processes, but people still struggle with the old system. In the new world, the goal would be is that put together a good, solid, functional spec, and then once that's done, it may take you months to do it. A good functional spec that's business aligned, that's really gets to the heart and core of what the business wants to do now and in the future, can take months to put together. It could even take, if it's in banking, it can take, I wouldn't say years, but it can take a very long time to put together a sophisticated risk management type system. But then if you have it all done right, you click a button and you tell Claude Code or Gemini Clee or any of the tools in the future, well, here's my functional spec, build it. And in the future, it will be able to build it exactly from the functional spec. And that's what we're doing. So we're building out the Castle platform to do that exact thing. And then in the future, when you come back after you sit there, it's running. It's going to be literally be a perfect system that you would have created. And not one line of code will be written by a person. So no programmer will actually be writing code, but don't think that programmers are going to disappear. We will need programmers to validate the system. And someone's going to have to look at the code to make sure that the AI didn't cheat. I have a funny story to tell you about agentic coders that like to cheat and lie on the coding.
A lot. They lie a lot, and you have to catch it. And it will tell you, yeah, I did everything to spec, and then you're like, no, you didn't. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't do it to spec. And you're like, oh yeah, hey, let me fix it for you.
Yeah, no, it's actually very bad. I was building
Yeah,
out a system for a healthcare provider that integrates with a portal and chat and Claude Code. I told it I wanted to have unit tests and I wanted to make sure that the data is coming in properly. And what it literally did is that so the first version I had the demo data, and I told it strip out the demo data, and now we want to get the real data. But it's a test system that we're integrating with because it's healthcare. It's all protected information. So we understand that it's real, but it's, at the other hand, it's also fake. And basically, Claude Code brought in, instead of integrating with the system, well, when it failed, it just brought in fake data. It made up fake data. And I'm like, when I caught it, I'm like, what did you do? Just, patients are dying because of you. And it was like, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. So, but it's like, but the right way to do unit testing when you're doing agentic coding is to basically ensure that it's not going to cheat. And we have a process for that is part of the Castle platform that will ensure that the AI cannot cheat when it's doing unit testing, which is really critical to make sure that your app is working properly.
yeah, that would be, especially in healthcare settings. That's a life or death mistake. And there was a discussion that there is no accountability on the part of these agents, right? So if they make a mistake, you're in the end of the day accountable and responsible for it. And that's something that's a mistake nobody wants to make, especially when you're talking about healthcare data or very
Exactly.
sensitive financial information.
And one of the things that we're doing is that now let's say in the future we use Casso, we build out this beautiful functional spec, we give it over to Claude Code to build. Claude Code says, no problem, I'm going to build it for you. It's spinning away for a day. It builds this beautiful system, okay? And we do some testing on it. It's perfect. It's working 100%. Now, we still have to review the code, right? What if Claude Code snuck in some time bomb in the code? We don't know, right? You can't trust the AI. So here's the problem. The problem is that now, let's say you wrote out 1 million lines of code. Like literally, how are we going to review 1 million lines of code? So it's a huge challenge. And this is not just for technology, for app dev. What if Claude Code says, I just invented a new drug. It's going to cure cancer. Like, what do we do then? Like what we have, and it just wrote 100,000 page document that explains how this medicine is going to cure cancer. Like, and like, who's going to review that and validate it? So the technical people are going to be more needed in the future than they are now. So if you're a developer and if you're listening to this, you're worried, oh my gosh, code is going to take away my job. No, it's going to take away you're not going to be writing code anymore. But we need people to validate the code, and it's a different skill set. In a way, it may even be a more difficult skill set because programmers like to validate their own code. It's easy, right? You wrote it, you can test it, you see what. Validating someone else's code, especially if it's an AI, it's actually very hard.
Right.
So we will be, but one point here is that when you have 1,000,000 lines of code, not all the lines of code are the same risk. So the Casso platform will allow to associate risks with different parts of the code. So your top secret algo trading, right? That's very high risk. So something like that is going to have to be reviewed by a very senior technologist in a company. But a screen could be validated by a lower level person. So you don't have to have, risk is very important to associate with when you're generating code, but we will have traceability that gives us code traceability from all the way from the business requirements all the way down to the actual code that is generated, because no human is actually touching the code. So we can have that full traceability, and then if something goes wrong, we know exactly who approved it, and et cetera, who reviewed it. So we have accountability, and this would be wonderful from a regulatory perspective as well.
Yeah, on the enterprise level, this is a gold mine because honestly, we wipe code a lot of stuff these days, and we don't write any code anymore. Everything is done by AI, and a lot of our like heavy production level code, we have to sit and we have to review it because this is our customer data. This is important, so we have to have people who review it. And to your point, people are screaming how like Lovable is gonna take developer jobs away. Lovable is gonna make so many developer jobs. It's create so much more work for people. They just don't realize
Right.
it yet.
Because there's going to be more and more systems. If we can, and that's what people wonder, like from the 60s, right? When we first started automating everything to 2025, right? All this years of automation, and everyone is still working late. We're still working harder than ever. Where did all this productivity go? Like, why don't we feel that we're more productive? The answer is that the more we deliver as technologists, the more the business wants. And it used to be the business got the quarterly report, then they got monthly reports, then they got dailies. Now they want everything is real time. I want real time everything. So the bar keeps being raised, and when you can build a full-fledged system in a day, then the business will want more systems. So we'll want more technology, and we will need developers to validate, but also we will need platforms like Casso that will give you tools that we have like probably like 20 different tools that we're building out that will allow the validation. Like, we're not just relying on brute force, right? We want to give the tools and to build out the tools so that we don't have to be reviewing every line of code every single time there's a change, right? It's just way too much work.
Well, yeah, I mean, back office automations is going to be a huge market because all these back office tools are being built. And we were talking about another call about agentic mode, where you have all these agents, they're building stuff, they're continuously automating. But that generates a lot of data. You're generating a lot more data than before. There is a lot more things that need to be reviewed, and there has to be a smart compliance and review systems. SOC 2 compliance is not relevant anymore because I believe there has to be like higher levels, more automated integrated compliance that is consistent, right?
Right, we've been talking about Casso for technology, for app dev, but another use case for Casso is just for agentic workflows Because as you mentioned, we're producing so much more data. Now I can go out to Perplexity and say, I want some deep research on this topic. No problem. It goes off, and 30 minutes later, or even sooner, gives me a huge report. Oh, wonderful. And then I go to ChatGPT. Okay, I want also another deep research. And then before you know it, you have 5 different reports from different AIs, and we have too much information now. And now I have to read through all the reports and figure out which one do I like the best, or which one's more accurate. So we're going to have information. So the AI agents are producing a lot more information that we now have to figure out how to handle. And the Castle platform will handle these exact scenarios. So it's not just for coding; it's for all agentic work.
Nice. I think there's this is actually extremely interesting, and especially I like the blueprint concept because right now, for example, what we do is we have like a Claude MD for every like sub module of their application. So there is a main Claude MD, and then there is a like a module for Claude MD, and then there's a sub module Claude MD, and a sub module Claude MD, and the system just reviews all the Claude MDs that it wants to read before it gives us a solution. And this is not a good way to maintain specs in the long term. In the long term, this is just going to turn into a bunch of really, really, really complicated documentation to manage.
Exactly. If we don't solve this problem, we're going to be in a worse state. I mean, it feels like vibe coding is a wonderful gift, and it is amazing. When I first started vibe coding, I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." But it's like giving somebody enough rope that they can hang themselves. It's it will cause, especially if enterprises start using vibe coding internally, and it's very once the genie's out of the bottle, it's very hard because it's the same thing like a lot of software like Slack and Jira, and these things got started. They didn't get official permission from the corporate. They started on their own. People just started. We don't like email, or we need a better way to collaborate with our team, and teams just started using it. But that's in a way that's good technology, right? They're using it in a positive way, but even that needs to be compliant. But vibe coding is the type of thing which when non-technologists start using it in a business setting, and if there's not controls on it, if it's in a startup or something like that where they don't have as many controls, it can do a lot of damage. And one thing I wanted to mention is that we are validating our Casso platform. So if anyone out there that has started vibe coding and just have a mess on their hands, speak to us. We are looking to partner with businesses that either have used vibe coding or are tempted to use vibe coding, and we will use internally our Castle platform to build it out properly. We'd obviously have to give you, this is a service we would charge for. We would give you a great deal, and you would not have to pay us anything until we deliver. So it's a really great deal for anyone that's looking to either to experiment with vibe coding, but just doesn't. They're realizing that they don't want to be stuck with it. And for someone that already has gone down that road and is now stuck, definitely speak to us, and we will get you unstuck, because we are the experts when it comes to doing vibe coding the right way.
So, what are some of the tips maybe that you could share with? We have a lot of technical audience, so mostly developers and people who are building their own stuff. So, what's some of the tips or best practices
Sure.
that you could share
Yeah,
with others?
absolutely. So the first tip I'll tell you, if you're already using Claude Code and Gemini Clee, because I think those two are the best ones, you should definitely use it. And I've used Claude Code more, so I'll speak more about that. You can use it to write functional specs as well. You shouldn't dive into writing the code first. And Claude Code has a great plan mode. Leverage it. You should write out and you should iterate on your specs, as much time as it takes. Write it out, think it out, plan it out. And then when it comes time to coding, you don't want to code everything in one shot. You want to code, let's say, the UI first. So this is the approach that I take, is that I work with Claude Code on the functional specs. We then work on the data schema. Data schema is super important, so we want to pull that out as well. You want to think about caching right away. You want Quad Code to advise you, and even use other tools. I use ChatGPT a lot as well to give a second opinion, because you want to have that diversity of opinions. And then, so you want to think about caching, you want to think about architecture, you want to think about these things. At this point, you have to ask Quad Code to say, give me a better option. What do you think? Suggesting it's not going to, if you tell it I want X, Y, and Z, right? It will just build it. But no, you have to ask it, say, brainstorm with me. What are the different options to know? Teach me. So you have to, it knows a lot, but you do have to ask it, right? So and then you build out the data model, right? At that point and by the way, everything here is on the Git. So you're constantly doing, and you have the AI, this is the biggest time save at all. You teach the AI, commit after every change, right? And it gives a great comment. And it's funny, after a week, I have hundreds of commits. As a programmer, you're lucky if I had one commit in a week, because you're lazy and it takes so much time to write a description message. What were the changes that you made? But if you're working with Quad Code, it knows exactly what changes are made, and every commit is beautiful. It's exactly what was fixed and changed. Nice description. So you get all that benefit by using Quad Code. And the key thing is that you're using, this is what I do. I use Verbal. So there are some tools out there that allow you to use, you can talk directly into the console, right? Because the console doesn't take voice input. But here's it's a quick tip. I keep ChatGPT open all the time anyways. Writing, there's a microphone tool right inside most AI tools now, that you click the microphone tool. This is using the browser, default browser, your voice recognition, which is, for our purposes, it works perfectly fine. Obviously, it's not as good as the ChatGPT Direct, right? It won't understand emotion, sarcasm, but for the purposes of coding, you don't need that. And you just copy and paste that right into Quad Code. So you get the benefit of an audio of speech. And what I'm doing is that I don't even write the functional specs anymore. So forget about writing the code. I don't write functional specs. I just tell, I speak into ChatGPT, I copy and paste it. I don't submit it. I just copy and paste it right into Quad Code, and I tell Quad Code, you write the functional specs for me. And obviously, it does a good job. It's a little bit manual because you have to keep track of different files and stuff like that. So it's not perfect. The Castle platform is going to be perfect. So we're going to give you the right UI to do this properly. But for the moment, this is how we're building Castle. We're using our own techniques to build Castle as well. And this is the state of the art for right now. So you basically, and another quick tip that we do is you tell you tell Quad Code to save every prompt that you give it. It should save it as a file. So you have your history, or else you don't have a history because you have it in the terminal. But if you close the terminal, then you lose it. And if you try to scroll back to find your prompts, it's a pain in the neck. So it's a great tip. You basically have a prompt MD file that you tell Quad Code every single time that I put something in, save it. Save it in my prompt file. So now you have a good history that you can easily access. You can see exactly what changes you made verbally and why you made it. So, there's a lot that you can do with the Quad.
This is valuable. I like the idea because I tried to use my Mac's voice detection to talk into Cloud Code, but it's finicky at best. And I think using something that like ChatGPT and you just talk with it and it's using its own voice recognition
Yeah.
system, so and it's so much better,
For
like a million times
the
better.
let me just clarify that I'm not using ChatGPTs. ChatGPT, there's a browser, so Chrome has Google's probably, it's probably Google's. There's a web speech API that is supported on, for, I think all browsers pretty much support it already. That's what I'm using. So when you go into ChatGPT, there's actually two icons there. One icon is the browser's own native speech, speech recognition, and then there's ChatGPT's speech recognition. I don't use ChatGPT speech recognition for one very important reason. First of all, it loses stuff, which is very
Mm,
frustrating. You can be talking for 5 minutes and you come back and it's gone, and you don't know where it went. So it's not 100% reliable. The other reason is that it responds verbally. So the only way you want to be able to copy and paste it. So I would suggest that you use the browser's version, not ChatGPT's version. But it works great. I don't have any issues with it. I don't even edit it. I just talk for 5 minutes, then I copy and paste it right into quote code, and there's no issues.
right. Yeah. Well, I think it still uses their own transcribe model. I believe, at least in the
Could
browser,
be.
when you click on
Maybe
that
that's
mic icon.
maybe that makes it so good. It could be. I
Yeah,
don't know. But yeah, but whatever it is, it works great. Whatever the secret sauce is, it's working great.
it works excellent. Yeah, and it's so much better than just typing it, or because I
Oh
have
my
so
gosh,
Mac
typing.
has.
I mean, yeah, I just think about the days I used to type code. I'm like, oh my gosh, it feels so old fashioned.
Oh, I can't write code anymore. I will look into it sometimes when it's like it's just being completely dumb. Like remember, like a week ago, it went really dumb. For like a couple of days, it was performing very poorly, and then I would have to go and I would have to look in the code, and I felt almost offended that I have to look into the code, and I because it's just you don't want to do that all the time. Like you don't want to write it yourself.
So yeah, so if anyone wants to reach out to me in terms of assisting with the vibe coding failures or experiments, or they want to do new code with Casso platform behind the scenes, then they should reach out. They should go to casso.ai. There's a contact form, and you can just fill in there in the description and in the message that what you want to speak about. So
Perfect.
definitely recommend that people reach out.
So, Yakov, is there any thoughts that you want to leave us with? Where does this technology go? And I know Castle AI is going to change a lot of things in regards to having blueprints for requirements and better traceability all across the board. But what are some of the other things that you see happening in this space in the next couple of years or in the next year? Where do you see things are?
So I think I've touched on some of these points before, but I think it's important to mention. I think a lot of jobs are going to change. I think a lot of technologists, but I think other industries too. I think what we see in computer coding is going to be true for other disciplines as well. And I think that schools are going to have to change too, because schools are going to have to teach, critical, like, how do you work with AI? It's not going to be like, okay, how do you write a term paper anymore? It's going to be like, use all the AIs you want, but you have to write a 50-page paper. Before, when we were in school, we used to have to write a one-page paper, right? And that was considered to be very difficult. But now the bar is going to be higher. They're going to tell students, use AI as much as you want. But you have to write a 50-page paper. So the bar is going to be much higher, because the skills that our students are going to have to learn is going to be, how do we work and validate with AI? Like, how do we
Yes.
function? How do we coexist? At some point, AI is going to be smarter than us, right? We're going to have super intelligence. But if we still want to be aligned, we're still going to have to be reviewing what the AI is doing. And that's going to be a challenge. New ways of working, new processes, and the skills that we're going to need to excel are going to be different. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for everyone. But we're going to have to do this together. And the benefit is that we're going to have the technology that's going to be invented is going to be insane. It's going to make technology of today look quaint, because when you think about the amount of effort it takes to do anything today, it's going to take a fraction of that effort in the future. So we'll be able to build out new technologies and invent new things, and just it's going to be wonderful. But we're all going to have to, the human part of the equation, is going to have to step up to the plate too.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's working at scale is what the next generation will have to learn. How do you work at scale, and how do you deliver high quality results at scale? And that will be the next kind of merit, so to speak, for a student or whatnot. So, everyone, this is Yaakov Sash. He's the founder of Caso AI, as he mentioned. If you have idea and you want some help to vibe code it, bring it to life, they will work with you and they will help you put everything together and they will give you a very good deal on it. So just feel free to reach out and work with them. And if you have any questions in regards to vibe coding or want to share some of your experiences with Yakov, be my guest. Just reach out to him, and I think he'll be super happy to talk to you and advise you.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, definitely. I'm excited to hear people's war stories, and if anything I can do to help, just speak to me. There is no cost involved. I just want to help people, and obviously, there's if I need to, get involved on a more professional matter, we can definitely work out a good deal. Um, and there is no payment until I deliver, so there's no risk to you. I will be taking all of it because I'm so confident that I know how to use these tools properly, that I can afford to give you that deal with that guarantee.
That's an amazing deal. I would take it.
Okay,
Perfect.
thank
Yeah.
you.